Good morning, everyone. My name is Giulia Picardi, and this is my dccr project for the 2024-2025 academic year. My project aims to investigate what are the main discourses on social media surrounding the tradwife phenomenon. In recent years, the term tradwife has gained increasing popularity online. According to Google Trend, it first appeared in 2018 and reached a peak in July 2024. It would be interesting to investigate whether there's a connection with the US presidential campaign, but this is beyond the scope of the current project. So, what does tradwife actually mean? Tradwife, short for traditional wife, refers to a movement of women who promote ultra traditional gender roles. The theoretical framework of this research is based on the platformization of consumer culture, as theorized by Caliandro, Gandini, Bainotti, and Anselmi. According to this framework, digital platforms are privileged space for observing how consumers co-construct cultural imaginaries together with the technological infrastructures. Platforms, indeed, reshape the logics of cultural production, channeling content and practices into standardized and replicable formats. Through the use of interpretative digital methods, the research explores the grammars and vernaculars of the two platforms analyzed, Reddit and TikTok. This choice will be further explained in the following sections. Through the concept of imitation publics, proposed by Zolli and Zolli, we will show how TikTok is a platform where mimesis and replication are structural elements of both the platform architecture and its interface. The analysis will also show how TikTok encourages practices of ephemeral consumption, where identity representation occurs through recognizable and replicable aesthetics, with a strong escapist and performative dimension. Elements that, as we'll demonstrate later, are absent on Reddit, whose affordance support dialogic interaction and the production of durable, reflective content instead. Gerbaudo's distinction between networked and clustered publics helps clarify how tradwife phenomenon takes shape differently on Reddit and TikTok. On Reddit, interactions are shaped by explicit user connections, while on TikTok, content circulates within algorithmically defined clusters based on behavioral patterns. Based on this theoretical framework, the project conducts a qualitative content analysis of the tradwife phenomenon on Reddit and TikTok, examining how platform-specific affordances, grammars, and algorithmic logics shape the production, circulation, and reception of content related to the movement. To broaden the lens, I'll also include the perspective of Skies and Hopner, Zuboff, and Byung-Chul Han, which will support the final reflection by offering a deeper socio-political and philosophical interpretation of the phenomenon. I chose Reddit because it's a platform structured around communities and discussion threads. It is well suited for analyzing community discourses, as it relies primarily on textual interactions, where content is non ephemeral and affordances are designed to support dialogue. To collect the data, I used a web scraping script developed by Lorenzo Maiocchi, a classmate. The script produced a dataset of 159 posts published between June 2024 and February 2025. TikTok, on the other hand, was selected due to the high volume of tradwife related content and the platform's affordances that support mimesis, cluster republics, and the creation and consumption of short, ephemeral content, in clear contrast to the structure of Reddit. On TikTok, I collected the data manually and created a new account to limit the influence of video order during the hashtag search. Some algorithmic biases might still present due to the Google account and device settings. Now let's dive into the Reddit content analysis. On the platform, there were many subreddits addressing the topic as insiders, some of them also not safe for work. As entry point, I chose R Tradwives, a subreddit with 2,600 members, since it's the most suitable space to identify the key narrative elements shared within the community. Concerning the sampling, I selected the 30 most upvoted posts, as these reflect the themes that users appreciate the most. Upvotes indicate the community's approval and alignment with the ideas presented. Then I also selected the 30 most commented threads, since the number of comments helps identify the most controversial topics and reveals how the community positions itself in relation to them. To analyze the most updated post, I created three categories: type of content, useful for identifying which type of grammar is favored within the subreddit; type of sentence, to understand what kinds of discourses are enacted in this dialogic platform; and topic addressed, in order to identify the most frequently discussed themes and support a thematic discourse analysis. From this configuration, the following patterns emerged. Text-only posts were almost twice as common as those with images, confirming that Reddit favors written, long-form, dialogic, and non-aesthetic content. Declarative and interrogative sentences were the most common. Imperatives were rare, indicating a tone oriented toward sharing and discussion rather than instruction or command. Cross-analysis between topic and sentence type confirms these trends. Positive declarative statements are dominant, while interrogative sentences appear mostly in posts about advice, anti-feminism, cooking, and dating, topics that reflect the community need for exchange and discussion. To analyze the most commented posts, I use these categories: Type of sentence to understand the discursive tone, and topics to identify which subjects trigger debate. The key results are the following. Interrogative sentences were the most common, confirming Reddit's dialogic nature. Looking at the total amount of comments, topics varied quite a bit, with a clear focus on tradwife in real life, where users share reflections on values, behavioral guidelines, and everyday experiences. Interestingly, with the average calculation, we can see that even though politics appeared only in one post, it received 73 comments, way above the average, highlighting how certain topics, while rare, can trigger intense engagement. The subject of the political post, in this case, was a concern about the implication of Trump's election. Now let's dive into the TikTok content analysis. When searching for the term tradwife on TikTok, two main types of content emerge immediately: videos created by user within the community and videos produced by user outside the community. For this reason, I structured my TikTok analysis around these two groups, dividing the dataset accordingly to better capture the distinctive features. As a native TikTok entry point, I use the tradwife hashtag, which is the most widely used on the platform. In total, I manually sampled 50 videos with over 1,000 likes directly from the platform, using high engagement as a criterion to explore the dominant vernaculars and topics around the tradwife discourse. To analyze content produced by users who identify with the tradwife movement, I created the following categories: subject, the main figure or object represented in the video; topic, the theme discursively presented in the video; and aesthetic, the visual style used in the content. From this analysis, the following insights emerged. The most liked topic was cooking, followed by lifestyle and advice. The most liked subject was woman cooking, in line with the relevant cooking topic, followed by woman and countryside. The most appreciated video presented a contemporary and cottage chic aesthetic, showing that the most successful content features a modern and mainstream look, sometimes mixed with the cottage aesthetic elements. More rustic and frugal looking cottagecore styles followed. Looking at the patterns between categories, the highest performing videos typically feature women cooking or giving advice within a clean, soft, and aspirational aesthetic. Contents that fit perfectly with the mimesis logic, replicable gestures, and escapist imaginaries. These videos often merge domesticity with calmness and visual harmony, echoing the idea of a curated, peaceful lifestyle that becomes symbolic of the tradwife identity. This kind of content reinforces a performative, aesthetic based identity, where gender roles and values are conveyed visually. To analyze content created by users external to the community, I use the following categories: topic, the main theme addressed, and the format, how the content is framed, to explore the type of approach they use when opposing to the tradwife phenomenon. This part of the analysis revealed the following findings. A clear outlier emerged: a super viral video with over 5 million likes, in which the female creator acts a toxic and dominant attitude toward her male partner. Since it was a statistical outlier and didn't fit any broader pattern, I excluded it from the category analysis for consistency. After excluding this stunning outlier, the most liked videos among these users include a feminist video themed around the 1950s, the viral case of Ballerina Farm, which exposed the problematic aspects of the tradwife style, and other feminist critics and videos defining or analyzing the tradwife persona. In terms of format, three main types were identified: critical content, the most common format; ironic content, the second most frequent; and the journalistic content, the less present. From an engagement perspective, the ironic format received the highest average and total number of likes. This confirms TikTok's entertainment driven logic, where irony plays a key role in engagement. Analyzing patterns between topic and format, ironic and journalistic formats are broadly distributed across many topics. Journalistic content is more narrowly focused, mainly addressing the figure of the tradwife influencer, especially in the Ballerina Farm case. Despite their structural differences, Reddit and TikTok reveal the shared dynamics in how the tradwife identity is constructed, performed, and received. Across both platforms, the tradwife identity revolves around the domestic sphere: cooking, family, homemaking. The home functions not only as a physical space, but as a symbolic and aesthetic core of meaning. On Reddit, this emerges through discourse and moral reflection. On TikTok, through carefully curated images and gestures. In both cases, domesticity becomes a space of identity and ideological expression. Reddit encourages textual dialogue and norm building, shaping the tradwife identity through discussion and validation. It acts as a networked public, a normative space marked by peer surveillance and value sharing. In contrast, TikTok operates through visual performance, replicable aesthetics, and mimetic logic. Here, identity is enacted rather than negotiated. TikTok, then, becomes a space of aesthetic self making, where fragmented selves are performed in an emotionally resonant environment. The movement, while often presented as a lifestyle choice, is not ideologically neutral. Skies and Hopner frame tradwives as agents of right wing influence, where traditional femininity is commodified and sold as empowerment. So, what seems like harmless content is often rooted in anti feminist and essentialist worldviews packaged for algorithmic visibility. TikTok content created outside the tradwife community is often critical or ironic, as we saw before, using the platform's own vernacular to parody or challenge the movement. So rather than fostering dialogue, the platform structure encourages contrast over conversation, amplifying ideological division. This interaction also confirmed that TikTok enables not only replication but also counter mimetic narratives. While many tradwives creators present their lifestyle as a personal, empowering choice, this agency is shaped and constrained by platform logics. As Gandini suggests, what circulates is what conforms to the grammars of the platforms. Zubov's concept of surveillance capitalism further reveals how behavior, identity, and even dissent are commodified for engagement. As Han argues, the digital self becomes a space of total identification, where each act, whether supportive or critical, produces emotionally saturated symbolic expression of identity. To conclude, the tradwife phenomenon must be understood as a digitally mediated negotiation between ideology, aesthetics, and platform capitalism, a complex response to contemporary anxieties about genders, identity, and cultural stability. To begin with, it's worth noting that on Reddit, the analysis focused only on the R Tradwives subreddit, leaving out the other related communities and private spaces like Discord, where part of the discussion has moved since 2024. Including those spaces could offer a more complete view of how the movement evolves beyond Reddit. Another limitation is the sampling criteria. The Reddit sample with the most upvoted and most commented posts may have excluded more everyday low engagement content. On TikTok, focusing only on videos with the over 1,000 likes and using a single hashtag may have left out smaller creators and less visible content. A randomized sample and a broader hashtag set could help uncover how the movement is shaped beyond influencer culture. Lastly, sound analysis on TikTok remains unexplored, even though the sound is one of the platform's core affordances.